This Albion Online video is all about the 80% rule and why you should adopt it. Now, you can apply this 80% rule to your real life if you want, or even other games. I'm going to be talking about it in the context of Albion Online mostly, with a little bit of side story. Again, if you don't want to watch like a self-help video, or you can't stand the grating voice that I currently have, I'm very sick at the moment. So the whole video is going to sound this bad. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. I have to make a video or I'm going to die. Anyway, the 80% rule. What is it? Well, before I tell you what it is, I'm going to tell you a story about when I worked in retail. And I was a very hard worker. And this 80% rule, I didn't know about it. I was always told you should give it your all, 100%. You should always work as hard as possible because hard work is rewarded. Hard work is how you get ahead in life. Hard work will repay your hard work. You will, crawl your way out of the ghetto in life and so on and so forth, right? But, let's get something more interesting on the screen while I talk about this stuff. Alright, so let's begin with a story of my wagey past. I used to work in retail for a billion-dollar industry grocery chain. And I worked in the stores. I wasn't like some business guy at a like a computer or anything. No, I was, I started as someone who, cleans bathrooms and bags groceries and, that kind of stuff. And, gets the shopping cart and puts it back in the store kind of guy. That's how I started, alright? And, so, my whole life, I was drilled by my parents, I was drilled by society, I was drilled by television, media, cartoons, books, the internet, everything, was telling me, hey, if you work hard, you'll be rewarded. If you put in the effort, if you, build it, they will come. If you do, you give it 110%, give it 150%, give it your all, become completely selfless. And even when working at this, multi-billion-dollar grocery chain retail establishment, they sell more than just groceries, like clothing and furniture and stuff, too. And you can probably guess who they are, right? But, yeah, they sell, like, everything. Anyway. So, even the propaganda that the company would feed, its employees, and all the managers drank the Kool-Aid, and sorry, I'm not very good with words at the moment. I'm super sick. But, I drank the Kool-Aid. I had nothing going on in my life. And I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm going to, become the best employee that I can. I'm going to do everything exactly how they want it. And then some and go beyond the scope of my job and duties. And I did this for 13 years, okay, despite some advice I got later in my work life. So, let me explain to you how an employee gets treated when they are the workaholic super employee. Alright, so let's say, let's give some more context here, right? Let's say your entire life revolves around being good at your job. That's all you care about. You don't have a life outside of work. You show up, and that's your day. That's your whole day. You go home, and you just do nothing until it's time to go back to work. And you're just missing work. And even when you're not at work, or when you're not scheduled, you're hanging out at work. Even though some of your employees are like, go home, Ben. Go home. What are you doing here? Isn't it your day off? I'm like, yeah, I'm bored. Put me to work. Right? Now, I know from a boss perspective, from a company leadership perspective, these are the golden employees that you want, and you want to keep them around. You want them in your, employee harem. You want to, when you transfer stores or move somewhere else, you want to transfer them with you and take good care of them and bring them everywhere you go because they will do such a damn good job that it makes your life insanely easy. And that was my goal. My goal was, I'm going to make the lives of everyone around me easier. And I still kind of do that, right? But, I'm going to talk about the 80% rule in a bit, alright? You need the backstory to understand this. Alright, so the world is full of bad people. It's filled with psychos. And I know, Reddit paints me as a psycho. And, you know, on the psycho test where there's like random questions. You ever see that? It's like a meme. It's like, are you a psycho test? Like if you were to Google it right now, there's questions like, depending on how someone answers these questions, they might be a psycho. So like, I know I'm getting off topic. It's gonna be a long video. Just kind of get cozy. It's starting to get cold in parts of the world. I know I'm freezing. I'm like shit. My body is shivering, and my head is burning with fever. I have to ramble, or I'm gonna like lose my mind. This is my only way to stay sane. Alright, so on the psycho test, one of the questions is like, there is a boy who receives a Christmas gift, and he is upset by his gift. The gift he was given by his uncle is a soccer ball, and the boy is visibly mad and does not like the present. Why is that? And, you know, my first thought, okay, my very instantaneously, you know, my first thought was, well, it's because the kid's a cripple and he can't kick the ball because he's in a wheelchair. Alright. Now, most people are going to be like, well, maybe he doesn't like sports, or maybe he's not athletic, or maybe he doesn't have any friends to play soccer with. And for those that don't know what soccer is, it's football. Alright, for you non-Americans. Alright. Anyway. And so the psychotic answer to that is, well, the boy's a cripple, and he's mad because he can't kick the ball. And normal people don't think like that, right? Because, you know, when I grew up, I had something similar. I had an uncle that I never seen, he never visited, he never talked to me. But he would just send random gifts, you know, to stay in good standing with my mom, I guess. And, you know, he sent me stuff that I was vehemently against, alright? So back in my childhood, Power Rangers was a popular thing. You know, go Power Rangers. Now, the group of kids I hung out with were all from Vietnam, and they hated Power Rangers. They hated it. And those were my only friends at the time. So by proxy, because they were much older than me, I was like, I hate Power Rangers too. And as a kid, it never really interested me anyway. You know, I gave the show a fair shake. I thought it was stupid and goofy. I'd rather watch Batman or anything else, really. So I hated Power Rangers. And you know what? This uncle got me for like a birthday one time. I'm a little child, by the way. He got me like a stuffed Power Rangers, like, you know, stuffed animal thing that's a Power Ranger. And so, you know, and he also got me like a Power Rangers backpack. And I'm like, there's no way I'm bringing this to school. I'm going to get bullied for this one if I do. And, you know, of course my parents made me use the damn backpack, and so I take it to school, and everyone's like, ah, you like Power Rangers, you like men. That's what, you know, that's not what they said. They said a different word. It starts with F, ends with G. You can figure that one out. Anyway. And I'm like, I have to use this backpack because, you know, my uncle, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, the berating never ends. All right. But, you know, that's not quite similar to the, you know, that's just how I think. And does being called out for not liking Power Rangers but having to wear a Power Rangers backpack make me a psycho? I don't know. Maybe society probably thinks so. Sorry, I didn't have a normal childhood where people are tolerant to people's interests and stuff, but that's just how it is. So growing up, you know, that's how I think of things. When a child receives a gift that they hate, it's usually because they're against it, or maybe they are incapable of using the gift. Like, if you gave me some smart person gift, like a soldering iron or a welding torch, I'd be mad. I don't know how to use that stuff, or I don't have the tools or the tool shed or the knowledge to use it. I'd be like, why'd you gift me this? Just give me money or something, right? And you should, and I know there's people here, the normies. Here's how the normies think. Well, you should be grateful of any and all gifts. No, you shouldn't. These people are giving a gift to you because they're doing it for their own personal reasons, not because they genuinely like you. If they genuinely were interested in your happiness and well-being, they would do research on what you would want as a gift. Not, oh, I gave them a gift. I gave this random child I never talked to their obligatory birthday gift so their mom won't complain at me or whatever. Right? So let's move on to another psycho question, all right? So let's say you're in an apartment building on like the 5th floor, and you witness a murder. on, like, the second floor. You're looking out your apartment window. And the murderer, after killing whoever, it doesn't matter what they are, they lock eyes with you. And then they start pointing at the building, working their way up and pointing at you. And then you see them exit the building, and later you see them cross the street. The question is, and normies don't get this. I have actually asked many normies this, and they don't understand what the answer is. They'll say things, oh, they're counting witnesses, or like, you know, they're counting how many windows there are, something stupid. And it's like, no, you witness, the murderer's coming to kill you, one. How is that not obvious? Two, he's counting which floor you're on. Duh. And apparently, if you automatically get that, you're a psycho. And, like, how does that make me a psycho to know that? That's, like, common sense, right? Very common sense. There's another one, it's like, there's a woman at a funeral, and, there's a guy that she likes, and, I forget the logistics of this one, so I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's like, the woman really wants to get with this dude that's at a funeral. So the woman decides to kill someone. Why did she commit murder? And people are like, because she's crazy, or because, you know, she's jealous or something. It's like, how can, like given the context, like, this one is easily solved. Given the context, it's simple. She wanted another funeral to happen so she could see the guy again. I don't know if this is more of an incel trait than like a, or a loneliness trait. I don't think it's a psycho trait. I think it's more of a loneliness thing that you could work out pretty quickly if you, with the majority of your younger life alone and without friends or without lovers. And it's like, if you see a girl that you're into as a dude, and you put two and two together, oh, this girl shows up every time there's a volleyball tournament, and she always sits in the same place. So you would want more volleyball tournaments to happen to give you more chances to see the girl, right? Pretty common sense, even though this one involves murder. And yeah, you would, I mean, no logical person would ever commit murder to, like, see someone they're into, because then they get locked up in jail and they can never meet that person again, right? There's a risk to it. But just, the thing is, like, people will go to extreme lengths to do these things to get what they want. And so it's pretty logical that she committed murder so she could see the guy again. I mean, in the context of the question, that's the only factor that was brought up. It wasn't because of money or a will or anything else. And if there was other factors, then the answer would be, well, because she wanted money or because she wanted a new car or something. I don't know. But this is just basic reasoning of how to unwrap a question. But all the normies and all the psychiatrists and all the doctors are going to, like, look at you and stamp on their card that you're a psycho, that you're crazy. All the Redditors are going to be like, Swole Benji's a psycho. He's crazy. Like, you had, like, years ago, you had E-Court, of all people, saying that I'm, like, dangerous in real life. Alright, so, like, yeah, I'm a dangerous guy in real life. If it was a fight to the death, and we're not armed with anything, like, I just outweigh him, I outpower him, obviously. But in reality, I would have no reason to ever commit violence towards anyone, right? Unless he attacks me first, or tries to kill my girlfriend or something, who knows, right? Like, but he would be in the wrong, and that would be self-defense. So to, like, go beyond normal circumstances and warn his audience, oh, Swole Benji's a dangerous guy, stay away from him, he's, you know, he's gonna do bad things to a school one day or something, and it's like, no, I'm too smart for that, what? And I get it, you know, people just talk crap, they want to gossip, like, oh, you know, if Asmongold loses his lawsuit with Mizkif, you even know who these people are, do you even care? I don't really care. Oh, he's gonna do something bad. No, he won't. He'll just carry on. He'll be like, whatever, I lost. And then he'll play video games and talk on stream. Like, it's gonna be a regular day, right? But, yeah, I know I got off topic here a bit, but there's a reason for it. It's all gonna wrap back up here shortly. Alright, so now that you know the basis of psychopaths, let's talk about actual psychopaths in the workplace. So when you're a hardworking and nice guy, or a yes man that will do everything he's asked of, even by people that aren't really his boss, This makes you an easy target for these psychos. This makes them able to basically use and abuse you in ways that are unimaginable, okay? So, what this means is that you're doing way more work in the workplace than what should be asked of anyone. People take advantage of your kindness. And this does wear on the body and soul, depending on what you do for work, I guess. But, like, you know, as a yes man and as someone who isn't, you know, used to the world, you don't really see this. And you only get punished with extra work and with coworkers treating you like dirt and making you do all of their work, or rather, you know, tricking you into doing all of their work because you're hardworking. If you weren't hardworking, they wouldn't even try to get you to do their job. They would just be like, "Oh, he's a regular guy, or he's a slacker. Let's slack off with him," right? And that's, you know, looking back, that was a lot of time. Like, people would be hanging out on smoke breaks or just doing nothing. And you know, I'd try to hang out and be like, "Hey, man, go do this for me." I'm like, "Okay." And then I'd, you know, wander off, and all their smoke breaks would end, and then they'd go back to work, you know, and still do nothing because I just ended up doing their work for them or whatever, right? So, and in these jobs, you're not getting paid more. It's not like, oh, you know, you did everyone's job. Here's your raise. Here's your, you know, whatever, right? No, it's not like that at all. It's you get the same amount of pay. You just did way more work and for nothing. So that's, you know, I could go, you know, endless examples of how I was used at work to do things. Like, as someone who bagged groceries, I'm asked to repair printers. And these are people that are college educated. These are people in their, like, 20s, early 20s, who, like, aren't stupid. They can do advanced math. They can do a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they have the degrees, they have the brains, they have the upbringing, and they know how to freaking fix a printer, right? You know, because I'd be like, who fixes the printer when I'm not here? And like, well, we just wait for you. And it's like, no, you don't. I can look at the printing logs, you know, whatever. But, like, they would literally call me up, like, while I'm trying to, like, fill the milk coolers or something, you know, and they'd be like, "Hey, unjam the printer, call it in, get it unjammed, change the ink out, fill it with paper." And these would be people that don't have any authority over me in the store, but I just wanted to make everyone happy. I just wanted to be, you know, I want to be everyone's friend. I want to be everyone's buddy and be like, "Yeah, sure, you know, you got it. I got you, fam." And then if I was ever behind and I tried to ask them for anything, they would just go off on me. And, you know, as hard as I worked, I was almost never behind. But there was just, you know, days where that happens no matter what. People call in. I get stuck with 6 other people's work. And, you know, I'd ask them for, like, the smallest favor that would take, like, 1 minute. And they would just freaking lose their minds and scream at the top of their lungs at me. Like, they'd be cheerful and normal. And then it's like I just spiked their blood pressure or something. I'm like, "Okay, sorry. I won't ask, you know, again." And then I wouldn't ask again because they're, you know, they'd freak out or whatever. And, you know, later when I started getting, like, when I started ranking up in the company and getting camera access, I would, I would try that, you know, I'd be like, "Hey, can you help me out?" And they'd freak out and yell at me and I'd leave. And, you know, later I'd look at the cameras and then they just laugh about it and they think it's like a little funny joke. Like, "Oh, man. Can you believe he asked me to do that? What a loser." You know? It's like, oh, man. So, you know, it really erodes the soul to work in retail. It really does. Right? It's just terrible. But, you know, this is me working 100, 110%, 150%, okay? 13 years of retail hell. Working nonstop, endlessly, right? And, I'll get to the conversion point later, but, you know, I gotta fill you in with more stories. And, you know, I looked for other people. Like, have you ever seen the episode of The Simpsons? I forget the exact episode name, but the character's name is Frank Grimes. He's this clean-cut guy that lives above a bowling alley. And at the end of the episode, he's like, "I'm going to touch," I don't know exactly what he says, but he's like, "I'm going to touch high-voltage power lines because I'm Homer Simpson." And then he, like, dies. and everyone's laughing at him as they lower him into the coffin. That was basically me, right? I was Frank Grimes, essentially. At the workplace, at least. And, anyway, so, you know, I worked, here's the thing, I worked so hard at this retail company with thousands and thousands of employees, and they had leaderboards. They had global leaderboards, because that's what companies do. They measure all your metrics, your sales, your, you know, checkout wait time and stupid crap like that. All the things. No, whatever job I did, I went from bagger to cashier to supervisor to service desk to price change assistant to price changer. Got my own store. You know, and I did that for a while, and then I started learning everything else. I learned all the night crew stuff, every department, fully learned it, you know, went through the management training, became a manager and all that. And then, you know, at the end of it all, I followed a shoplifter to their car because they were stealing. And it's not like they were stealing food for, like, you know, to feed their family. They were just stealing cases of Monster energy drink and expensive steaks and like Tide detergents, you know, just boxes of it. Anything they could sell for like $5 a pop to get crack cocaine. That's what they were doing. And I didn't do anything. I didn't physically touch them. I was a little bit verbal, of course I was, right? You know, I'm a talker. I want to talk smack. I want to taunt them like an MMORPG. I want to taunt them into swinging on me, but they never would. I'm too intimidating, right? I'm just too intimidating. And I was only like 225 pounds at the time, so yeah, while I'm not victim weight, I wasn't as big as I could have been, right? The journey hadn't gotten to that point where I was just a massive monolith of muscle and just meanness, right? And I was still blue-pilled and still, I don't know, actually, I might have been red-pilled on the firing. I think I was red-pilled by then, but for the most of my career, I was very blue-pilled, right? But, yeah. What did I get rewarded with? Here's the thing, right? Like all these things would happen. They'd have like a contest. Oh, the top placing person gets like $100 gift card. I'm like, oh, well, I got this. So I would place in the top, you know, first place. And then I'd be like, hey, where's my gift card? And like, oh, well, you're always first place. You don't get one. I'm like, they're like, it's to incentivize other people to work harder. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm a person too, man. Give me the gift card. No, we're not giving you one. And then they just gave it to the second place person, which was one of their friends that they hung out with outside of work. And it's like, this is so dumb. This is so stupid. And there's just like endless things of that. I never got rewarded for my hard work, ever. I went above and beyond to do the job I was entrusted with, and I did it better than anyone else in that company. And there was nothing for it. There was no rewards at all. And if anything, they would just call me on my vacations to have me work. And they would get mad at me if I was out of state or overseas. Like, you know, I was getting like 4 vacations a year kind of thing. And I'd go travel, right? That's what I did. And they'd call me. And yes, I had a phone back then because I had to because I was a manager. And they were like, we need you to come in and push carts. I'm like, bro, I'm in Jamaica right now. Jamaica's a terrible place. Don't ever go there. And they're like, yeah, well, when's your plane back? I'm like, in 3 days. They're like, well, can you come in then? I'm like, yeah, sure. Oh, man, it's so bad. It's like, and then I show up. It's like, you know, I still had other vacation left. Right? And they're like, yeah, we'll just pay you out for it, whatever. So yeah, I'm making more money in that regard, but I'm losing my earned vacations, bro. Feels freaking bad. Now, this isn't a video about ranting about my shitty job life that I had. This is a video for you so that I can improve your life so that you or whoever's watching, if you're at a younger age, that you don't suffer like I suffered for 13 years. Now, one thing in retail, I always tried to learn from the management, you know, just managers in general, because, you know, they were the leaders and they got their position for a reason, which I would later learn is mostly just having a college degree. That basically guaranteed that they got their positions. But there was a few that worked their way up from, you know, being a bagger or a cashier or whatever. And those guys are the ones that I wanted to learn from the most, right? But we'll go with Manager A, and we'll just call him Grocery Guy. I'm not going to use real names, alright? Because some of them play MMORPGs. There is a chance that, that this guy plays Albion. Probably not. I don't know, man. But anyway, You know, I don't think he deserves to be thrown under the bus with his, you know, real name. Unlike Fancanth, you know, Fancanth, he's still talking crap. He's still talking crap on Reddit. If you go look at his kill board, he died twice so far this month, and he lost another, like 28 million. And if you look at his stream, he ends his streams unhappy and upset, so that's just how it is. Whoops. But anyway, I don't really care about that. It turns out Fancanth is just dumb. Like, I can't solve him being dumb. There's no saving him. He's gonna go to the black zone. He's gonna continue to lose money. It's just what it is. There's no hope. It's not my job anyway to save him. But anyway, this manager, we'll call him Grocery Guy, and he was, you know, the head honcho. He'd been working the company like 30 years. And at the time, World of Warcraft was the hot shit. Okay, World of Warcraft was the big game everyone was playing, and he would play it. He would even go over the intercom and announce things. He'd be like, you know, he'd call an employee's name to the office. He'd be like, report to Ironforge. I'm like, ew, Alliance, ew, right? But whatever. Like, it was nerd shit. The dude was clearly a hobbyist nerd. He was also a big guy, too. He's a big boy. But anyway, you know, I'll paint a picture. You know the stereotypical, like, angry boss figure in cop shows? Where the cops have to stand and get yelled at by, like, the police chief. He was that guy. Loud and aggressive, okay? Like, he'd yell so hard at you, his face would turn, like, completely red. Like a Sam Hyde sketch. Anyway. So, at some point, some of my WoW accounts, because I was a dirty RMTer for WoW, I would sell accounts, I'd level accounts, sell them, and I would also get banned sometimes for doing that, whatever. But he wanted me to play on his server, and they needed a tank, and I'm like, I can level up a tank and get pretty best geared and, you know, get, you know, raid geared in, like, under a month, and he was like, hell yeah. I think I did it in, like, 2 weeks. You know, this is also working, like, 50-hour shifts under him. And, you know, once I was his main tank for his, you know, World of Warcraft raid, and he had other people from the store, too. He had, like, people from the deli and the bakery. He had people from the night crew. And so he had his own little harem of co-workers that, you know, he would play WoW with. And he would always schedule all of us off at the same time so we could raid, which I thought was funny, but whatever. Anyway, I told him long before I even signed up, I told him what I do as a side hustle. I'm like, I'm going to gear up a tank. I will tank for you. And then I'm going to sell that character. And then I can just make another tank and gear it up and blah, 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 right? And if you've never played WoW, dude, it takes months to gear up in raids, right? These guys are hyper casual. They were like keyboard turning and shit. They would click their skills. They weren't good at the game. Not a single person in the store was actually good at the video game. The store manager included. They were all shit. Absolute garbage, casual normies, okay? And he actually had a daughter that played, and she didn't play with him because she hated his guts. It was so funny. But she ended up being good at the game, but she's irrelevant to the story, right? But anyway. So, you know, I get geared through the raids, and I'm doing the main tank's job of main tanking and blah, 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 and all the stuff. And so I'm like, okay, it's time to sell my character, which is what I had planned the whole time. And he loses his freaking mind, right? At this point, I'm like getting good scheduled hours. I'm not doing close opens. I get to leave early if I want. He's looking the other way on like certain things that customers are complaining about and stuff. And, you know, customers, they'll just complain about stuff, even if you are completely right and the nicest person ever. They're going to try to milk free shit out of you. That's just how, you know, retail life is. But, anyway. So he completely loses his mind. And then he starts giving, like, after this, he starts giving me the worst hours. He starts, like, punishing me in the job place for it. Like, I'm like, I had to do it. I have bills to pay. And he's like... Yeah, he's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. I thought, you know, we had something going, blah, 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 whatever. And I start leveling another tank, and he just gets real, like, shitty to me. And it's like, okay, whatever. And then, like, the whole store quits, because he's being a dick to everybody, not just me. So the whole store quits playing with him. I troll the ever-living fuck out of the World of Warcraft servers, like, general chat. Get kicked out of the guild, whatever, who cares, right? the guild was dead anyway, right? And he banishes me to all the shifts where he doesn't have to like work with me anymore. It's like, dude, it's a video game, who cares? Right? He's just mad he didn't have a little yes man to tank for him and do all that heavy lifting, but whatever. At some point, he goes to some other store because managers get rotated around so that cliques don't form in these stores, and that people who are under the thumb of a mean manager picking on someone, they don't have to like endure their entire career under the same boss. It's also for learning and, you know, experiencing other styles of management. But anyway, he goes to another store, and what he ends up doing, and this is a dude that's been with the company 30 years, and he had good numbers. He was a hard-working manager. He's mean, but, you know, hey, he did the damn job. He was a good manager to have at the store. He wasn't fun to work around, but the store ran freaking well. I'll give him that, dude. Right? And what he ended up doing was he had some kind of Christmas decoration in his office because there was no room in the back for it. And one of the employees that works in like the Christmas decoration, it's called Drug GM. It's or health and beauty care. That's their department for like Christmas decorations. So they just used his office as a storage for that Christmas decoration. And there was never any room on the sales floor for it. It's just like a random little $10 item, right? Little $10 item. And so Christmas passes. It's now January. You have to mark down all the Christmas stuff to sell it through. So the item gets marked down. No one wants to buy it. You know, all the Christmas stuff is already gone on the shelf. So he's like, well, I don't want to throw it away. And it's marked down to like $1 or something. So he just goes and buys it because it'd be a waste to toss it, right? Well, one of the employees, one of the price change ladies that worked at his store at the time, hated his guts so much because he would always berate her. And she, you know, she was like, she was the popular girl. We'll say this. And I actually have a memory of this girl in my school days, which I'm going to share with you because I'm bored and I'm just out here gathering. But I'll share that afterwards. And she hates this manager. She hates his guts so bad. No, I gotta piss. I'll be right back. Alright, so where was I? Anyway, this girl, woman, whatever, she, I mean, I was an adult at the time, and we were the same age, I believe. But anyway, she was like the popular person for the company for her job role, which was like a price-changing person. And, everyone went to her for help and stuff, and yada yada yada. But anyway, she absolutely despised him. And so she found out that he had he held an item until after the season and then bought it. And, you know, what she did was she presented it to corporate, behind his back, of course, that he withheld items from the sales floor, and then bought it when it was marked down, which is essentially kind of a form of theft. So this manager who worked, he did work his ass off. He was an abrasive guy. You know, I'm an abrasive guy. I mean, that's just what the world does to us. I used to be a nice guy. No, that's why I think a lot of these, like, Twitch streamers and these Albion YouTubers, dude, they have, like, the cushiest freaking life ever, bro. Like, none of these guys had to slave away. They all have houses and powerful families and connections. You know, I looked into Fan Camp a bit. I didn't fully investigate him, but, I mean, he doesn't live in the most glamorous life, so I was kind of hoping I could connect with him and change his, you know, his ways, but he sniffed the fumes of Nizori a little too hard, so he's unsavable. Sorry, bro. He also drinks alcohol. I cut the line off. Anyone that drinks alcohol should just stop watching me now, unsubscribe, leave. I don't... you know, I can't be around people that drink alcohol. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Now, I'm going to say one thing to one particular person who does drink alcohol occasionally. You're grandfathered in, and you know who you are. You don't have to worry about it, and your name is Tim. You know who you are, and you're good, bro. But everyone else, I drew the line years ago, you know. But yeah, I no longer accept friendships from people that drink. Let's just say that. Anyway. I don't even know if that dude watches my videos anyway, but... Anyway. So yeah, she got this dude fired. 30 years gone. Freaking gone, bro. And so, he has a family, he had multiple kids, mortgage, he had all the adult stuff he had to worry about. And last I heard, you know what, I'm gonna look him up. I want to see what he's doing. I'll be right back. Alright, it took a while to find the dude, but he looks like a cancer survivor. It's a hard leftist, so it would have never worked out with him anyway. Well, so much for a rekindling. I couldn't figure out where he is employed. He's probably retired. He's very old, so that's just how it is. But, that guy's name was Crystal 5v5 Arena, what? Anyway, dude gets fired. He gets a job as just a supervisor at, another retail grocery multi-billion-dollar chain. Not making near, like, I would say less than half of what he was making at before he was fired. And I don't know if he ever financially recovered, but I just looked him up. He owns property. It looks like he won a lawsuit or at some point. He's, his recent pictures, he's fed, I guess. So he's not like in the streets or anything, but it is what it is. Anyway, the whole point that I'm trying to get out here is that no matter how hard you work, if you just piss off the wrong people, they will gun for you. They will, like, absolutely try to destroy your life. They will do everything they can to ruin you. It doesn't matter if, you run a good store. And let me tell you, the person that replaced him wasn't terrible, but wasn't the best. The store definitely suffered after that, but, like, when you have a really bad manager of a store, life becomes hell. Everything starts breaking all the time. Nothing gets done. Schedule mishaps. It sucks. Everything is a skeleton crew. It's the absolute freaking worst. And so this continued on. I started to notice a power hierarchy as I moved up in the ranks. And that was certain managers were not really in bed. I mean, some literally were, but some were like in the friend group or in the niche of the higher management, the district and division managers and the stockholders and the, all the really bigwig important people of the company, right? And, of course, I made the mistake of, these people tried to wrong me for small things, which I didn't have the, I lacked the amount of autism required to know this at the time, but, like, one manager I worked under, and the dude is super wealthy. This guy is hyper wealthy. He has, like, a massive collection of, like, old 60s cars. Multi-millionaire wealthy, right? I don't know why he's managing a store. Later I would learn it's for the power trip and the political influence and shit. But, he tried to screw me over because, it would hurt his budget ever so slightly. I wasn't even officially working at his store. I was, like, subcontracted to help his store. And part of the deal was that they pay my fuel. Because it was a faraway store. I had to drive there and back, like, 6 days a week. Very long drive. And I actually broke, like, 2 cars working under this guy. But, every week I was supposed to go and collect my fuel mileage so I could pay for gas. Now, obviously, fuel mileage is very generous for the company. And it was basically like a little, extra raise of sorts for doing extra work for this guy. And he would go, like, out of his way to try to deny it or intimidate me into not getting it, or, being like, oh, just collect it next week. Well, no, that's not how the system works. You can't collect it next week. Then it's not in the system anymore. It'll just be unclaimed, and there's no way to claim it. I knew how the system worked. But this guy would get upset that I was getting paid fuel mileage, and I did an upstanding job, because at that time, this is many years later, after the other manager thing. Many years later, right? But I was like the top dog of the company for this job, which was the price changing job. And so, yeah, I was the top guy working for the top manager, but he didn't want to pay me my fuel, and I was adamant about getting the damn fuel, to the point where I'd have to call the higher ups and be like, they're not giving me my fuel, what do I do? Then they'd call him, and then he'd storm down and do a big deep sigh and be like, just pay the man, blah blah. And this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, I would not budge, he would not budge. And it was just an on and on thing, right? And they're like, he shouldn't be treating you this way. What's going on? This guy also surrounded himself with other dickhead managers that were absolutely worthless. But, you know, they were, you know, sucking him off and doing other things. So he kept them around and he protected them as well. And they'd, like, scream at me and stuff. And I'm like, you know, I can just not work at this store, right? I'm not bound to the store. I can go back to my home store anytime and stuff like that. Yeah. So, what's funny is, you know, I eventually trained a replacement for that store. I was working 2 stores at the time. And, the replacement was a very old man named Bob. You know, Bob, the Halloween raid boss in Albion. Yeah, use that as your brain. He's an old guy in his 60s. And Bob, it was one of the hardest price-changing, like, work shifts of the history of the company. And Bob was good. He was good at his job because I trained him, so he was good. He was also old. And what happened was, after the shift, he went home and stroked out and died. The company had worked him so hard that it killed him. There's no amount of money worth dying for a crappy retail company. Or any company, really. Right? And it's like, man, that really sucks. That was a really rough work day. I think I put in like 14, 16 hours that day, and I had a whole crew of like 5 people that also stayed with me. Who were my top guys, right? I had my own top guys. One of them is now my girlfriend. Right? But, anyway. And when I say guys, I'm obviously mean women, because women work retail, right? Anyway. Yeah, guys didn't really like doing the price change position. I don't know. That's just how it is. Most guys got assigned to physical tasks and not so much mechanical ones. But anyway, to rewind the story a bit, let's go back to the girl that got the dude fired, right? She wasn't necessarily the best at her job, but she was really good at convincing people that she was. Her stats on the leaderboards were literally non-existent. But she was the go-to gal, and she seemed to know what she was preaching and teaching. And later, because I was learning her job at some point, I learned that she wasn't really that good. She was alright. She was above average, yes. Kudos for that. And, you know, you're gonna learn. Someone above average in retail, oh boy, they're the best, right? But, yeah, I learned all the things she was doing wrong and not doing properly and blah, 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 blah. And then I became the go-to guy. And she had moved on to some other job that paid more anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But alright, so the funny memory that I had back in this is middle school. This is junior high for some people in parts of the world. That would be 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I don't remember what grade group, but, you know, this girl, you know, when you're a middle schooler, you know, girls start getting, how do I say this without sounding weird? When you're a young lad in school, all you can do is stare at girls all day, right? Girls that are your age, okay? And yeah, this was a fiery redhead, okay? Healthy, athletic, and very abrasive herself. So yeah, I was like, ooh, right? And one day, I was out near the track and field area, which is outside, because I was an outside kid. I'm a trailer park boy, that's how I am. And she was being bullied by 2 people. They had stolen a shoe off of her, and they were throwing it back and forth to each other, and she would run over to one of the boys and be like, give me back my shoe, and they'd throw it, and then, you know, they'd make her run over to the other guy, and they were passing her shoe back and forth, and she had to go to a class or something, and I'm like, you know, I wasn't the biggest kid at the time, right, because I hadn't learned, you know, I was trailer park boy, I was underfed, I skipped school lunch so I could save the money that it cost to buy Pokemon cards and flip them and stuff. And anyway, which I need to make a separate video about flipping Pokemon cards. I might be sitting on a treasure trove. I don't even know. Don't rob my house, please. But anyway, I don't own a house anyway. It's an apartment. Don't rob my apartment. I'm armed. I'll get you. I want you to try though. Anyway. They're not even in the apartment. They're stored away safely. You can't get them anyway. It'd be all for naught. You just get beat up. I'd beat you up and then make out with you. Sorry, I saw a clip on like Family Guy where that happened. But anyway, it's like, man, I gotta if I get into another fight anytime soon, I'm pulling that power move. That's a good one. You clean someone's clock, they're on the ground dazed, and you just pick them up by the hair and just mwah, right? No, I'm not gay. Anyway. So I'm like, I gotta save her, you know, because I'm blue-pilled, and I'm like, well, I gotta save her. Maybe she'll go out with me if I save her. And so my plan was, I'm going to act like a doofus and trip in front of them, and my shoe will come off. So if I loosened my shoe and blah, blah, blah. And I would be the big hero, and she'd be grateful, and maybe she'd talk to me, right? Again, this is middle school. So I do my thing. I'm running by because it's near a track. I'm just running past, you know, whatever. And, oops, I trip, and oops, my shoe comes off, on purpose, of course. So immediately the bullies, you know, they grab my shoe, and they no longer want to mess with her. She's boring, so they just throw her shoe at her, and she gets it. And then they, you know, they start passing my shoe around, but I'm more athletic than them, so I get it back pretty easily after, like, I don't know, 10 seconds of them throwing it back and forth. And then I put my shoe on, and then I go to talk to her, and you know what she says to me? She looks at me with utter disgust, and she's like, God, Ben, you're such an idiot. And then she storms off. And I'm like, but I got your shoe back. What? It went completely unappreciated. I never brought it up with her or anything of the sort, right? I just held that one in forever, bro. Forever. Does it hurt? Not really. It's like a complete opposite response. It'd be like you help an old lady cross the street, or you give a bum some money so they can get alcohol, and they just like curse at you. And it's like, what did I even do? Huh? Now she was mad that I was clumsy and tripped and lost my shoe. And then I had to, you know, sprint back and forth between the two to get my shoe back. Like, you were just doing that. How am I any dumber than you, lady? What? What's going on? I don't know. She's just utterly disgusted by me, right? And I just never knew why. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell did I do? Anyway, back to the topic, right? Remember, this video is about the 80-20 rule and why I'm sick and stuff. So, yes, I'm aware I'm gathering without pork pie. It's whatever. I don't care. I'm talking to you guys. Anyway, so eventually, you know, I start moving up in the company, and I get, you know, in a pretty comfortable spot. And one of the managers come along who changes things a little bit, not too much, but he tries to educate me, and I fail to listen to him. And I'm not going to use his real name, but he was known as Honest Abe. All right, that was, you know, like Abraham Lincoln, how he never told a lie. Well, this manager was known as a guy that never told lies. However, I would later learn that almost everything he said was a huge lie. Most things, not everything, but a lot of things. And he was just really good at manipulating people into doing what he wanted. This is why he was a higher upper echelon manager and stuff, right? Oh, that reminds me. There's a YouTuber called Upper Echelon who hated my guts during New World. I wonder what he's doing these days. Anyway. So Honest Abe, you know, the first time he meets me, you know, I'm trying to, like, you know, really impress the new manager so I can get on his good side, blah, blah, blah. And his first response is that he just doesn't trust me. Like, who the hell comes up to and just offers to do all this stuff for nothing? I'm like, because I want to learn and grow and blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay. And then he has me do a whole bunch of extra work. And then he eventually says he trusts me or whatever. It's like, okay. Well, you know, it turns out that was just a manipulation tactic to get me to do extra work and, you know, whatever. Not too mad about it. But this guy was full of shady stuff. At some point, he had cheated on his wife, and he had kids and everything, like a family and stuff. And he managed to, like, convince her to stay with him. It's like, what? Damn, dude. And he still cheated on her after that, like, openly. And his wife didn't do anything about it. So it's like, damn, he's got a way with words, I guess. I don't know. The dude sold... Here's the thing. Again, I'm going off topic. The dude sold me a car for $2,000, and it was the crappiest car I've ever bought, right? But he upsold the hell out of that, and I needed a damn car, right? Without a car, you can't get to work. I mean, you can, but it's a hellish walk. And so he sells me the car. the same day that I pull out of his driveway, I go to gas it up because he drove it to, like, the brink of having no gas at all. So I limped the car to the gas station, barely, you know, the closest one, not even the cheap ones, and gas it up. And then the car doesn't turn on. I'm like, what the hell? And, you know, I call him, and I'm like, hey, man, your car isn't starting. He's like, oh, yeah, you checked the battery. I haven't replaced that one in a while. I'm like, what? Yeah, he gave me a car with a dead battery that he slightly juiced up so it would work long enough for him to sell it to me. And I'm like, oh, dude. And, like, every other month, stuff on that car broke. To be fair, I didn't know much about cars. And I live in the ghetto, and every single car that I'd tried to buy prior to that was a scam. So they were all just as bad, probably. Like, I would go to a car dealership to buy a used car. And then I would because I am not a risk-averse guy, right, to random dealerships. And I would be like, hey, can I take this car that I want to buy and take it to a shop and have them look at everything about the car to tell me if there's anything wrong with it? Like a full diagnostic. And they're like, yeah, sure. It'll cost you, though. So I pay the car dealership $100 to borrow the car to have it looked at. I pay the car, you know, repair place $200 for a full diagnostic. And every single car, every single one from like 10 different freaking, like, you know, car selling place, dealerships, had extremely critically bad, wrong things wrong with the car to the point where they wouldn't last, like, more than a year or two. It would cost tens of thousands of dollars, or they were unrepairable. They were in such bad condition. And I'm not a car guy. I'm not, like, I don't have tools. I don't have knowledge. I don't know anyone that does. So I was at their mercy. And only after fully exhausting every dealership within drivable range, because I was using my parents' car at the time, I told the manager, I'm like, I need a car, and every dealership is out of my price range, and they're all, like, clankers, and I got them checked out, and I showed him all the proof. He's like, I got a car I can sell you. So I ended up just paying the same amount of freaking repairs into that car that I would have any of the other cars. But, you know, it's whatever. That was the last car I ever owned. I don't own a car anymore. I just mooch my girlfriend's car. I'm sorry. I just mooch her car. But here's the thing. I hardly drive. In the past, I've tracked how much I've driven. In the past 10 years, I have only driven 30,000 miles. The average person where I live drives 15,000 miles a year. I drive 3,000 miles a year. And that's just like to the grocery store and to here and there. So yeah. Anyway, he sold me a bad car, and, you know, the dude was very manipulative, right? But he was also honest when, you know, when it counted to people, because he saw me as an asset, so he started sharing stuff with me. He's like, he told me straight up, he's like, you work too hard. You're not getting paid nearly enough of what you should. These companies are a scam. They're there to milk the poor. And he's like, you should only work 80 to 85%, and that will put you in the top 0.01% of employees. Of course, he said things like, you know, if you're self-employed or you're doing your own thing, then obviously work as hard as you want. But when you work for someone else under a company that you don't own anything, just give 80 to 85%. It'll save you from all the grief from your coworkers, all the backstabbing and being used and abused. You'll still be in everyone's good graces enough to so that you'll be in a good store. And I was like, do you put 85%? He's like, no, I do like 60%. And I'm like, but you're one of the higher ranked managers. He wasn't the highest ranked, but he was like top 5, top 10 easy. And everyone, you know, loved him and stuff, right? And he's like, yeah, man, like if I was to actually do 100%, you know, I'd have to do all this stuff and blah, 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 right? But I didn't drink his, you know, Kool-Aid that day. I was like, you know, I'll keep your advice in mind. And so my career continued, where I overly try hard, and I was working 60 to 80 hour shifts a week, 6 days a week at multiple stores, and you know, was barely making more than a cashier, even though I was a manager. Like if I took the out, because I was salaried as a manager, right? And he explained that it's like, once your salary, it's not worth it too. Like, just cut it down to like bare minimum just to stay afloat. But basically, If you took the earnings of a full-time cashier, with the amount of hours I was working, I was making maybe like $3 extra a week than they were. And I had to do everyone's job and manage everything and all the stress and all the crap managers have to deal with. This is a nightmare, right? And so after getting fired, I declared I'm never going to work hard ever again. All right. And this brings us to Albion. This brings us to everything, okay? Now, I declared this for, like, real life. I didn't declare it for video games. That's whenever World of Warcraft came around, and I tried my hardest. I got to the point where my gear score was the second highest in the world for Horde Rogues. I was the second highest geared player in the world for WoW Classic. At one point, I didn't hold that too long, because things fell apart with the guild, but it was absolutely soul-crushing to do that. And no, I'm not, like, tearing up or anything. I just have a really sore throat, guys, okay? I'm not gonna cry over video game pixels or anything. But, yeah, it was, absolutely soul-destroying to work that hard for literal pixels that I can't even really use anymore, right? WoW Classic is dead, as far as I know. There's not servers I can use that gear for and gank things, and literally over. But, after that, I declared I'm not going to work hard in video games ever again. I'm just going to take it easy. I'm not going to try to be a tryhard. I'm not going to worry about my kill-death ratio or how good I am or anything, right? And then enter, you know, New World and Albion, right? And look at me now! Alright, okay, so as far as being the top YouTuber goes, there's some non-English speaking channels that have really kind of taken over the space in their language. I don't really count those, so I'm #1 in English-speaking, you know, channels. And I can just do this. Oh, look, 500 gold. And, oh, that's a bad price right now, whatever. Hey, look, I just made 4 million silver. Right? And I can do that multiple times a day. Multiple times a day. Now, you go and you look at actual other Albion YouTube. I want you to look at them with a magnifying glass. They have a staff of editors. They have a talent agency. They have sponsors. They have scheduled streams. They stream anywhere from, you know, 4 to 12 hours a day. I just record 8 minutes of footage, and I don't edit it. You can look at my old videos, and I used to edit like World of Warcraft videos to make them kind of funny and stuff, but like they get like very low views. Having a masterfully edited video does not bring you the views, right? And I'm at the point now where I think a masterfully edited video that's a guide is kind of a spit in the face. It's inhuman, it's robotic, it's soulless. When I click on a guide video, I just want to know the damn info, maybe get a story, right? All these YouTubers, they, you know, I think I did it in this video, I'm sorry, but they front load like a promise, like, I'm going to tell you how to get rich, and then, you know, 20 minutes later, they finally tell you, and then in, you know, whatever, but, what I'm trying to get at is that you, in Albion Online, in your real life, whatever, you're going to have a much more fun, relaxed, laid-back, stress-free, and easier life if you just give 80% of effort rather than 100. You're going to enjoy everything way more. And this goes all the ways, right? Like worrying about, like, oh, asking a girl out, or are you gonna get fired, or is this a bad thing to do? Just do the thing and be like, don't care so much. 80% everything. If you want to diet, just eat 80%. No. Eat 20% less food than you normally would, right? If you want to work out and you read a guide that tells you to lift, you know, a weight 36 times, cut it down by 80%, you'll still see gains. Yeah, maybe not as much, but it won't be enough to really notice or get you laid or not. It really won't. You'll still be able to overpower 99% of people. You'll still be healthier than 99% of people. Just, if you apply this 80% rule to anything, and that was a voice crack, did you hear it? Anything. Then you will be so much better off than the one guy that dedicated 100%. So I want to talk about something that I've been dedicated for the past 8 months. I've dedicated myself to 2 games. Those 2 games are Step Maniacs, which is like a Dance Dance Revolution game. It's it's like an arcade game. You step on the arrows. You step on little squares, arrows, whatever you want to call them, to the beat, to the rhythm of a music. And another game I've been playing is Nostalgia Op 3. This is a arcade piano game. Very cool one, hard to find where I'm from. I think it's like Japan and Korea only for the most part. So if you see one, it's rare as hell. But I have been training just very casually. For the dance game, Step Maniacs, I've been training it about 4.5 to 6 hours a week. Not a whole lot of training, right? I try to do 1 hour to 1.5 hours, depending on how my health is. And right now, my health is so bad, I wouldn't be able to play at all. Like, I am super congested, right? Anyway. And then, the piano game, Nostalgia Op 3, I've been dedicating 3 to 4.5 hours a week. Not a whole lot. Now, what's funny is, one of the locals near me is like the world freaking champion for Step Maniacs. He has, well, I don't know about champion for tournaments, but he's the one. Like, if you look at the leaderboard for PvP fame, it's one. Well, the guy that's the leaderboard for Step Maniacs, he's like down the street. It's one of those types of people, right? And I wouldn't be able to even come close to what that person how they could play. They can get 99 to 100% accuracy on the hardest songs, and the fastest, hardest stamina songs. So for dance games, there's usually 2 styles of dance gamer. There's the accuracy player, and there is the stamina player. I've always been a stamina player. That means I play for a workout. I play to build my endurance so that I can play as long as possible on the hardest, fastest song as possible. And as long as I can get a score where I'm not killed or my life is depleted or I fail the song, I'm good, right? And even some songs I just cannot pass because I do not have the stamina, because I am a super heavyweight at the moment. I might change that. I might lose a bunch of pounds in the coming years. I'll make a video about it. I'm losing weight and stuff. It's really easy to lose weight. It's just hard to pack it on. It's so hard. I've been trying to pack on weight for the... Oh, shoot. We got Martlock, naked woman. What? That's not naked. You have clothes on, bro. For Jesus. Naked woman for Jesus. Weird. Yeah. Martlock's attacking. I gotta be a little careful, I gather. Anyway. I can't believe... There's people that complain that while they're gathering, they're like... I get ganked in the blue and yellow zone. I'm like, how? You're in gathering gear. Run away. Literally just run away. But, anyway. So as a super heavyweight, I obviously max out my stamina, and after 8 months, I'm pretty much stamina maxed. But because I'm a super heavyweight and not a lightweight or like a marathon build, you know how marathon runners are super skinny and lanky and stuff? And I'm also not on, like, estrogen or the stuff that, people take to transition. That stuff really, makes a difference, too. I'm not going to ever do that kind of stuff. But, obviously, I'm skill capped, right? But still, even though I can score 80% and sometimes higher, sometimes lower on the hardest songs, like, the hardest ones are way too stamina intensive and tricky and stuff, and as a super heavyweight, it's just too tough, right? I am literally physically capped out. But I guarantee you that I can play that dance game better than 99.999999999% of the world's population. Easily. As a super heavyweight. That means a fat guy. A big man with a big belly who lifts big, heavy objects. You've seen the gif of the guy that, he picks up the barbell with a bunch of weights and he screams and then he slams it down. He's a really big, fat, round guy. That's the build I'm running in real life. That's why the channel's named Swole Benji, alright? It's not lean, it's not low body fat, it's lots of fat. Like 25, maybe 30% at this point. I don't know my body fat. I haven't gotten a body scan in years. It's too poor. But anyway, I'm not using calipers. Screw that. Calipers are inaccurate in 2025. Let's go. But even though I can never beat the world's best player, I can still beat the rest of the freaking world. Alright, so while some people are like, I'm not good enough, oh, I can't even come close to competing with the world's best guy, wah. And then they train and train and train, and they dedicate their whole life. I've dedicated 8 months. There are people who dedicate 20 plus years, and that's what their entire life revolves around, just to get in the same league as the world's best people. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a jack-of-all-trades guy. What I'm saying is that I think my life is way better, even though I can't beat the hardest songs or beat the best players. I'm still very happy with my skill level for that game. And it's also, you know, it's made me healthier, and for the last 8 months, had I not done that as cardio, this sickness would have me, like, hospitalized probably, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm on day 4, and I know, like, medicine bottles and advice from AI is like, after 2 days, seek a doctor immediately, you might die. And I'm like, well, I can't afford it, so I guess I'm gonna die. If I die, my girlfriend gets the YouTube channel and my Albion account, I guess. I don't know how that would work. They'd just be like, oh, Soul Benji's dead, ban. And my girlfriend wouldn't, like, she doesn't make videos, so she would never make a stink about it. So, SBI, if you're listening, I guess when, you know, I'm dead, you can just ban the account, whatever. Put it in my will. Hey, phone up Robin Hickey. Soul Benji's dead. They all pop corks and champagne and stuff. No, if I were to die, like some other creators have, all these dickhead content creators, they're gonna be like cringing in videos and be like, Swole Benji, he was actually a pretty good guy. You know, he was alright. We're gonna miss him. He did a lot for the game. His guides were alright. But, you know, while I'm alive, it's like, screw Swole Benji, kill him. He's wrong for the game. He's evil. He does bad things. No, I'm just a gamer. I'm just a gamer neat. He has no connections or power in life. This is all I do. I click on the pixels. I attack the golem with my fire spell. What an exciting life. I can't wait to go to the next. I can't wait to be isekai'd and make my own world. I really can't wait for that. I'm making my own isekai world. You guys can come along after, you know, this life and pal around in it. Alright, it's gonna have elves and orcs, and it's gonna have magic, and it's gonna have a balance system. I'm gonna make videos about this in the future. But it's gonna have a balancing system where if you're a solo player, solo life enjoyer, then you will have different powers than people who are, you know, with powerful families or connections or generational wealth or clans and guilds, you know, or whatever. It'll be very well balanced. But it won't be a hard, like, place to live. It's not gonna be, like, you know, struggle and terrifying. Like, if you're fighting a dragon and it, like, kills you and you're full dead, then you can opt for a revive, even if there's no one there to revive you. You can just be like, I'm not ready to die yet, and I'll be like, okay, and I'll just bring you back, and the dragon will be like, what the hell, bro? Though I don't think I'll give the dragons or monsters souls so that they're not really upset. Or, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Really depends, you know, I'll just make it be like, hey, the dragon killed you, you can't fight him again for a while. Or something, I don't know, man. I'll figure out the respawn system. But anyway, what I'm getting at, what was I getting at? And yes, the dance game, alright? Again, I'm better than 99.99999% of players. Easily. You'd be like, no, you're not. There's Olympic gold medalists that would destroy you. I think I'm like, no, they wouldn't. If they've never played the dance game, they would be utterly destroyed. Even though they would have the stamina to do the fast songs, they would not be able to see the notes. They would not be able to step to the timing. Yeah, they just would not be able to do that. And this has been proven in the dance community. But anyway, the piano game. I want to talk about the piano game. So, when I'm learning a new game, I seek out, just like you seeked out my channel, I seek out information about the game that I want to learn, okay? I did the same thing with Albion. I would go into people's streams and YouTube channels and ask questions. You can still see them on the oldest channels. But, for this piano game, I found this Korean channel called EXP Channel. And even though he's South Korean, I'm pretty sure he's South Korean, I have done my research, and this dude has dedicated his life to the piano game, similar rhythm piano games, and even the piano itself, the real piano, right? So, and you know, as far as I saw, he was the #1 ranked in a tournament for the game in South Korea for the regular mode. Now, there is a concerto mode, or I forget what it's called, but it's like a mode that judges how accurate and how hard you push the keys are. He didn't do that tournament. So, there's still another guy that plays a different style of the game that is better than him at that, probably, maybe. But as far as I know, this guy is the best in the world at the piano game. He is #1. He is won. Why is it? Oh, I'm ranked 103,000. Oops. Yeah. I'm okay with 103,000 people being better than me at Albion PvP. I don't really care. Anyway, if you just saw the cut there, that's because I'm trying to, like, not hack up my lungs into the mic. So I'll just have to do a lot of editing later. Anyway. So I started watching his channel to try to learn the piano game better. And when I first started playing the piano game 8 months ago, I would see the notes come down and I would just slap the keyboard, not really doing anything. And then I would study his videos and see where his fingers are and how he's doing things and try to copy what he's doing. Oh, he sets his speed at 2.7. I'll set my scroll speed at 2.7. He sets his keyboard positioning on the screen at -13. So will I, right? And so my goal was to just copy what he does and see if I can learn it that way. And, you know, month after month of grinding away at the piano game, you know, I'm suddenly on hard difficulty. I'm like, wow, I can survive hard mode. I can pass hard mode songs with a 70. This is progress, right? And, you know, month after month of training, now suddenly, hard mode, oh, I'm getting 70, 75, I'm getting 80, 85. I start trying out expert difficulty, failure, 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 failure. I can't pass any expert songs. So I start training one hand at a time. I set the game to only play the piano notes on the left hand, and I do the song. And I get like an 80, and I'm like, okay, I can do it if it's one hand. And then I play the same song with the right hand. And then I get like a 70. I'm like, well, that's not really that good. And then I'll try to play it with both hands and still fail. And then I slam my face. Not really. You know, if you're the guy that owns the arcade and you're listening for some reason, like you're bored at 4 in the morning, I don't slam my head into your keyboard, bro. But anyway. I sit there and grind, and I watch the videos, and I start noticing things that I couldn't notice before because I wasn't good enough to notice before. Things like, oh, he barely uses his pinky, and I'm trying to use it every time. Or things like, you know, he's using more thumbs on this part of the song than his fingers. And just, he wiggles his hands or vibrates them, or he, like, bounces between his ring finger and his thumb, and he, like, twists his wrists a certain way while he plays this part of the song. And I'm like, I'm just going to blindly copy what he's doing until I can kind of do what he does. And then eventually, hey, I can start getting low 70s on expert. Oh boy, right? And then and because this arcade is jury rigged, it cannot be connected to the internet. It's supposed to be an online only game, but the owner has it jury rigged so that you can play it offline. Which means every time I want to play the arcade, I have to re-unlock all the songs again. That means I have to play hard difficulty to play expert. And what I thought was I had to unlock or play a high score on expert to unlock real difficulty, but I'll talk about that in a bit. And so, you know, because I have to unlock expert now by playing hard mode, I'm suddenly getting like 94, 95, 97, 98% on hard songs. And what was impossible to read and was a real struggle, and I would panic and slam my hands and fingers all over the keyboard just to try to survive, is something that I don't even have to look at the screen to play anymore. I can literally, like, have a conversation with someone at the arcade, or look over at a TV or another arcade cabinet near me and see what they're doing while I just use my peripheral vision to play the song, right? Now, it's part muscle memory, it's part, you know, note memory. And today, I had to, like, because I played it today, I had to sneeze really, really bad, and because it's just, like, it's after Halloween, the front desk clerk offered me a super sour candy, and I'm like, I ain't no bitch. So I took that super sour candy thinking, oh, it's just like a warhead. And at first, it wasn't so bad, right? And then you get to the sweet part of the candy, and I'm like, okay, we're done with the sour part. And then it hit me in the middle of the freaking song. They had like a gooey center that I had melted, the candy into. And suddenly, it's so damn sour and so bitter. It's tearing my eyeballs apart. And I'm doing this while sick. So my eyeballs are already burning. My eyeballs are already watery, but this sour candy made it so I could not see anymore. I could not see. I had to clench my eyes shut and finish the song on hard mode, not expert. And then, afterwards, when the song's over, I can get access to my hands again and use my arm to wipe my face and clear my eyes. And lo and behold, 97%. Blind. Well, not the entire song, but halfway through. Halfway through the song. And I'm like, I got a 97% on the song? Blind? Man, I'm a beast. I'm awesome. Alright. And now that I've been playing, I've been playing Expert for a little while now, for at least a couple months, I guess. I think I'm on month 2 on Expert. My combo, I can hold combos up to like 224 notes on Expert without breaking it. I'm starting to get, the hardest songs on Expert, I'm still getting like 75s, but I'm not getting below 75. The hardest Expert song, I am able to get a 75. I want you to think, if you've ever played like Guitar Hero back in the day and you played Through the Fire and Flames, getting an 80% on that song means you passed it. It means you hit most of the notes, right? It's very impressive to see someone do that back in the day. Now, obviously, there's autistic people that never stop playing the game. One of them that goes to another arcade that I go to, who can play all the songs completely blind while staring at the employees, like with her back turned. And yes, it is a her. But very impressive stuff, right? But we don't need to be that impressive, right? We just need to be 80% of that power level. Just 80% to reap the rewards. Most of the rewards, right? And so now I'm able to do expert songs at 75 on the hardest. And the easier expert songs, they're slightly easier, they're less tricky, they're less fast-paced. I'm hitting upwards to 80, 85, 80. I got an 89 on a couple of them today. And this is with teary eyes and being sick, right? And hacking up a lung, having to turn my head away from the damn arcade. I can now do it. I've hit the autopilot stage. That's what I'm trying to get at. And let me tell you, all right, I'm not putting in 100% effort to learn this. I'm not dedicating my life to it. I'm dedicating a few days out of the week for an hour or an hour and a half. I only played it for an hour today. And you may be wondering, Soul Benji, how much are you spending at this arcade? And the answer is, these arcades are owned by a bunch of YouTubers who... The arcade is basically... With how much I'm spending, it's like... I'm paying less than 50 cents for like 3 hours of playtime. So it's basically almost free. But anyway. Now, the guy that's the best in the world at the piano game... He's been playing over 7 years. He has the peripherals at home that he plays like every day, multiple hours a day. Non-stop, doesn't miss a beat, doesn't miss a day probably, I don't know. He plays the real life piano. He goes to actual piano concerts, it looks like, on his channel. The dude is like, he is like, if you dedicate your life to something, he's dedicating his life to it. And yeah, the dude has nearly 100% in every song. If he hasn't already, I don't know. I don't think he has yet, but if I were to ever go against him, I absolutely could not ever get close to his scores. He'd be getting like 99.998% on the hardest songs. And here's the thing. Because the game is jury-rigged, it requires this little card called an e-amusement pass, which requires the machine to be online to use. And that's the only way to unlock the real difficulty as far as I'm aware. I have gotten 95% full combo on normal, hard, and expert on the same song, and it will not unlock. I did the concert mode and got mid-high 30%, or not 30%, but like 30 out of 40 on the cat accuracy scale. There's like these little cats that judge you and stuff based on the pressure of the notes and stuff. And again, you may be thinking this is a complete waste of effort. Why don't you learn insider trading or stock markets or blah, 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 blah. Why don't you learn how to, like, do advanced math and be a broker or something? It's like, I don't want to. And I can't really, but anyway. This is just what I have decided to do for a while, right? But I'm at the point now where it's like, getting better at this piano arcade, it's very slow progress. It's very slow at this point. But I'm so good at it now that no one in the area, as far as I have seen, in the 8 months I have played, comes anywhere close to how good I am. There is one guy that can kind of get 100 combo on hard mode. I can get like a 1,000 combo on hard mode, right? But I'm so good now that I attract audiences that watch me play, and then when I walk away from the machine, I make it look so easy that they come up and try to play it, and then they're immediately overwhelmed and give up. And it's so funny. I just love it. I think it's so funny. And I want to ask you, do you think dedicating 7 years of your life every single day, having the home peripherals and all the training tools, and again making your entire life's mission to be good at this piano game, do you think that beats out the same? Do you think this guy gets a better experience when he goes to a public arcade than me that plays it on expert and gets an 80% and 85%? Maybe. If he's around diehard fanatics just like him, abso-freaking-lutely. And again, I put in very little effort to learn this game. It's not like I'm some sort of piano prodigy or anything. I can't even read sheet music. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that when people play Albion Online, there are people that put in 100%, 150%, whatever. They go beyond the scope of everything. And yeah, they're good at the game, right? They'll kick your ass, they'll kill you, take your gear. And then there's people that put in no effort, and they just make a bunch of friends, and they sit on a gate, and then they gank you and take all your stuff. Who do you think has more fun? I'm going to tell you, over the years in Albion, I have hung out with a lot of people. All right? A lot of people. Let's start getting back to town. I have hung out with a lot of people, and the people that had the most fun in the game and made the most money and have the best memories, and that's what's important in a video game is the memories, right? I'm learning this dance game and this piano game so I can make a cool memory that people have when they go out, you know, to an arcade with their girlfriend. They see this crazy dude on a dance game, and you know, I get a lot of people talking to me, and it's just for attention, really. That's why I lifted back in the day, is for attention. But anyway, the point is that the people that had the most fun with the game and that made the most silver are the red zone transport gankers. Do you know how difficult it is to gank a transport with like 5 people that have semi-good gear? It's the hardest part of ganking a transport is dealing with blue police. And you gank one transport that's like, you know, 30, 40 million split between 5 people, whatever. That's going to pay for like, you know, 20, 30 sets of gear between all of you. So blue police overwhelm and kill you, which a lot of the time they can't. The reds mostly especially on Asia, the reds outnumber the blues a lot. There is no more blue police. But, and like what I've been doing now, I have put zero zilch effort, nothing into what I've been doing on the screen. I am literally just clicking colored rocks on a screen, sometimes the trees, you know, whatever. That's all I've done. That is all I've done this whole video. And, so yeah, let's, you know, without the journal, whatever, I don't really care. Like, my estimated market value is almost $1 million, right? So, I have put no effort into this money. Now, you know what tryhards do? People that want to be the best of the best, and they're so worried about what other people think of them. They're so worried about impressing those around them. They're the workaholics, like when I worked in retail. And it reminds me, because I was around the age of Fan Canth. I'm not going to tell you his age. You can figure that out yourself. Pretty easy. He left his OPSEC sucks. I mean, mine does too, but I'm a public figure. You can literally look me up and see everything about my life. I don't care. I think it's more interesting when randoms knock on my door. And like, I always invite them out to eat. I'm like, let's go to Whataburger. Let's go to Chicken Express. And that alone will tell you where I live, but But what I'm trying to say, and he used to live in the same kind of semi-same zone that I live in, Bandcamp. So yeah, you know, we're both howdy doody, you know, people, I guess. Anyway, where I'm getting at is he's in his try-hard stage. He hasn't figured out, and there was even a Reddit post he made. You know, not to snoop through his Reddit post, but he was like, he felt guilty about slacking off at work, and it's like he might be savable, guys. We might be able to save him. But, it's not really my job, and if he doesn't want to be saved, that's fine, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, you go look at his kill board right now, that dude is down, like, 28 million, and, that's 28, like, what I just did in this video, that is doing that 28 times, and he, you know, when he died, he was upset, he was angry, he was not having fun. And yeah, you know, it's just a game. Who cares about money or number go up? But, like, I'm over here, you know, just chilling. Just putting in almost no effort. Like, none. Little zero effort. And I'm just somehow doing better. I want you to think about this. Again, while doing things in life, just give it 80% effort. The world will recognize this and reward you for it. And so will other people. And they won't use and abuse you. And, I guess that's the video because the servers are going down. But, I got gifted Arc Raiders by a guy named Shinji. Benji and Shinji. So I'm going to be playing a bunch of Arc Raiders. I might do more Outer Worlds 2 videos because they did kind of okay, but there's not a lot to play right now. There's just not. Other than that, I'm pretty sick, so if I get worse, expect less uploads. If I don't get better, I have no real life options to get better. My dinner tonight is a can of pineapples I found on the ground. I'm gonna cook them. The can is in date. It's a little dented, but it should be fine. I'm about to gag. Hold on. All right, I don't remember what I was talking about, so I'm just gonna end the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, not working to your full potential is loser talk." No, being used and abused and tryharding for no results is loser talk. That's the universe. I didn't make the universe. I'm gonna go make my own when I die, and I'll make it fair, damn it. Fair and balanced. And relaxing and fun, and not painful and cold and hot and with magic and elves. And yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Anyway. Click the video on the right side of your screen. And if you do, there will be less traffic than there normally is. And most of your stoplights on the way to wherever you want to go will be mostly green. Hell yeah.